March Expo, Alibaba.com's annual month-long promotional event that offers new products and services from new trends and insights, where you can explore new opportunities, lower costs, and source with certainty. Be the first to access new product launches and get a sneak peek into the latest breakthrough products via live streams from 40 standout suppliers across 10 key industries. Deep dive into over 200 leading innovation showcases and experience cutting-edge production techniques through live streams and videos, so you can bring your products to life via better and newer solutions.
Wow, that was interesting. Hey guys,
Howdy.
hi audience. So this is a time we are having a chit chat section with our expert. We will officially start in 15 minutes. So I think our guest will do a quick introduction, and then we will have to do another introduction at the beginning. So Kian, our old friend,
Cool.
how are you doing?
Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're well. My name is Kian Golzari, and I've been living and working in China for the past 12 years. In that time, I've designed, developed, and sourced over 2,500 products, visited more than 500 factories, and attended more than 20 Canton fairs in China. That's led me to do manufacturing for different retailers, brands, licenses, such as the NBA, the Olympics, United Nations, Ministry of Defense, a lot of big box retailers in UK, Europe, and the US, as well as helping a lot of Amazon private label sellers and Shopify sellers and things like that. And really working with suppliers and getting the best prices, getting the best terms, getting the best quality, developing the best products is what I've been doing, which allows me to work for all these different companies. And that's what I want to share with you guys today.
Excellent. So sourcing has been very stressful in the past 2 years. How do you handle the stress?
To be honest, I have not found it that stressful because yes, there's been a lot of disruptions. Yes, there's been a lot of changes, but I feel that every time that there's a change in the industry, that's also an opportunity for you as well, right? Because a lot of people think, oh, why is this happening to me? Shipping costs have gone up. Why is this happening to me? Material costs are going up. Why is this happening to me? There's local lockdowns. It's like messing with my supply chain. But if it's messing with you, it's also messing with your competition as well. So it's like, what can we do about it right now to get ahead of our competition? So if shipping costs go up, hold goods in your supplier's warehouse until the costs come down. If material prices go up, ask what materials your manufacturers are holding in stock that you can utilize. If there's like a power outage or lockdown situation, use Alibaba.com to find suppliers in other countries as well. So there's always a solution to these issues. And just from being on the front foot and having worked in China for so long, and I was always able to quickly pivot. So to be honest, yeah, there was challenges, but I didn't find it that disrupting.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, that's really helping, understanding really the truth behind what's going on in the back, and that helps you not be stressful. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Also to wrap that up as well, I think a lot of it comes down to like communication with your suppliers as well, right? Like building good relationships with your suppliers, and therefore being able to pick up the phone to them. You can chat through the app as well and sort of understand what's going on. If your order is late, you can ask them to see photos and videos of the goods in the production line and if they're ready for inspection. But if you don't have a good relationship, you don't really have eyes and ears inside the factory that can kind of stress you out to be like, well, when are my goods actually shipping? So good relationships always put you on the right foot as well.
Excellent. Thank you for that. So I will come to you, Brendan. Hi, Brendan.
Hello.
Hi. Wow, I like the color of your shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how are you doing? Are you calling in from Ohio?
Yes, it's in Southern Ohio.
Oh, very good. Wow, I went to Penn State, so here is the rivalry. So Brendan, so you have built such a successful business with Investment Joy, and you coach people about how to invest in properties, and you do a lot of commercial and construction. So how is the business going?
My company's doing great. We've continued to grow. We hit a little over $10 million in managed assets last year. I'm hoping to grow another 20 to 30% this year. We're we're cutting some of the fat, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. We're cutting
Yep.
some of the things that are unprofitable. We are scaling and growing our segments that are making me the most amount of money. Really excited for what 2023 is going to bring to me, my company, the people that work for me, even my tenants. I'm passionate about affordable housing, and it's the reason that I wanted to be on this stream with everybody today, is kind of talking about how Alibaba is playing a bigger role in my company with bringing my tenants and my customers and the people in my world better savings and better products.
Oh,
That's
wow,
really important to my core business concept.
That's awesome. That's really good to hear. And you also coach your students about all the things you do. So I'm curious, what is the most challenging thing your students usually see?
It always comes down to negotiation, learning to how do you talk, not only how do you talk to people, the kind of conversations that you can have with people. I've already seen some of the things that are going to be talked about in the stream, talking with suppliers, negotiating with suppliers. For me in my world, so much of it's negotiating with people to make sure that you develop something, called a win-win, that the person you're negotiating with comes off from the conversation and the negotiating feel like they won something, but then you as a business owner, you come back with something sustainable and useful that you feel like you can win in your business. And for me, from my standpoint, it works when you've got a business and you're making $1,000 a month, and a friend of mine, he's worth probably 150, $200 million. And he's in central southern Michigan, kind of out in the middle of nowhere. No one in his whole community knows how big his company is. And he said, that's, if I have to drive home one thing with you, Brandon, and people you talk to, is making sure that everybody walks away feeling like they won something.
Yeah, that's very, very good point. And you have a big family. How many kids do you have?
I've got 4 girls and 1 boy.
Oh my goodness. I'm very jealous. So you have multiple business and you have a big family, a lot of kids. How do you handle the balance, or what people don't like to say balance? So how do you manage everything and, keep it in harmony?
Well, I put my family first. They're one of the most important things in my world. And if it's not for them, then why do I run these companies? Why do I own these properties? Well, it's to make sure that I have some flexibility, some freedom to spend time with my family later. So it's my rule at 6 o'clock, unless something's physically on fire, which does happen once in a while. Unless something's on fire, I just pack up and go home. And then whatever has to be done the next day is done the next day. And I continue to grow and scale my team. In between all my entities, I probably have 30, 40 people that work for me. I'm hoping in this year, I'd like to have 100 people that work for me.
Wow.
I think there's the money to be had to do it. It's just a process, and hopefully they see me go into work and learn some work ethic and some hard work, and then they can do whatever they feel is right in life for them. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're still really young and you're under 40. So, you'll be on the 40 under 40 list in no time.
We'll see.
Thank you. All right. So Fernando, welcome to the event. So you're in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, I'm based in Vegas. I've been living here for now 8 years, so I would consider myself a local now.
That's awesome. We travel to Vegas all the time for the events. I wonder if that's one of the reasons you like Vegas.
No, it's just irony of, I guess, life, just life puts you in places you never expect. So Vegas was for me.
That's awesome. And I think you're also very, you create a lot of business. And I was watching your YouTube channel as well. You have quite a lot of following as well. So I think one thing I learned is you like to take on new projects and you like to try new things. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely. I like to, I started my YouTube channel originally was because I was doing Turo, and then that transformed into crypto, which we all know that went not very well. And then, but then later I started, because people would start reaching out to me. So I started saying, well, why don't I do videos of something I do actually know and really understand? And I've always been in the tire industry. And I think that was kind of like a sweet discovery, when I found out there's people out there that are interested in my industry and want to know. And, I don't know everything, but it seems to be that people find my videos interesting and insightful. So I keep doing them.
Wow, that's awesome. So you enjoy taking like coaching people as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think I think we all have that journey. I'm more in that early stage journey where I'm starting to discover people are willing to pay for coaching, and there could be landing pages and there could be a whole business out of this. And so I like to explore that further. But at this time, I do have coaching calls, and most of the time it's just like me getting to know people. So I normally don't charge. I normally just kind of like just talk to people. But I'm finding myself very limited in time. So that's, I guess, one of the constraints.
That's awesome. So all the experts we have, all the speakers we have today, Kian, Brendan, and Fernando, they're all very popular on their channels. Definitely check out their YouTube channels, Sourcing with Kian, Investment Joy, and Fernando's. Your channel is just your name, right? I remember. Yeah. So definitely check out their YouTube channels, and they are very active in offering free lessons and content, and helping people do well in their own business industry. So I think we have a few minutes before our official start. So I wonder Kian, if you have a question for other two experts, what do you want? Because you are expert in sourcing a lot of consumable and apparels, etc. Right? You're relatively newer to construction business or non-consumable essential items or auto parts and tires. So when you start something new industry, how do you, like, say you want to get into something new, how do you get over your fears of getting something new and jumping into something new?
So for me, I was quite lucky in that I went to China to like go to factories and work with manufacturers before I sourced anything online, right? So going into the factories and building relationships and seeing how the products were made and understanding how they're made and visiting the raw material factories and seeing the entire process like end to end really opened up my mind to know how products were actually made. Like the first factory I ever went into was a backpack factory, and that really blew my mind because before that, I would just see a backpack like in a store on a shelf as one piece. And then when I see it in the factory, I see it in 30 different pieces, like the shoulder straps, the foam that goes in the shoulder straps, the webbing, the buckles, the zippers, the inside lining, the waterproof coating, and all this getting constructed and sewn together. And then now all of a sudden, when I think about like product development and pricing and all that sort of stuff, I've got like 30 different places I can go to in my head because I've seen it in that way. So whenever I've wanted to learn about a product, let's say it's in an industry that I'm not familiar with, like I started off in the camping and outdoor space. So I was doing backpacks, tents, sleeping bags, outdoor cook set, outdoor furniture. But over time, I've done over 2,500 products, and applying the right principles in terms of like finding the right suppliers, finding out how many years they've been in business, finding out what certifications they've got in their products, finding like who they do business with, what audits they've done, and then asking the right questions as well. Mm-hmm. And really educating yourself on the product before you actually approach the manufacturers as well. So like a quick hack, what I like to do is I would find the top 5 suppliers on Alibaba.com that I want to work with. Then I would find the next 5 that I don't want to work with. And I ask all my questions to learn about the product to the suppliers that I'd never intended to work with. So if it's like the furniture chair, I'm like, hey, what material do you use? Polyester or nylon? They're like, nylon's a little bit more expensive, but it's lighter. I'm like, okay, cool. What do you use? Steel or aluminium? Steel's heavier, it's more expensive, but aluminium for like the outdoor enthusiasts. I'm like, cool. So I'm writing down all my notes, and when I talk to the other suppliers, I'm like, right, I want the 600D polyester. I want this thickness of aluminium. Must be this coating. And they're like, wow, this person really knows about the product. Well, actually, I just asked a lot of questions to the suppliers that I didn't want to work with to learn about the product. And I tend to learn about it that way and apply that to any industry that I'm trying to sort of source and develop a product for.
Yeah, excellent. Well, so we are going officially opening again after this question. So we will play the video, opening video, and then we'll come into the official start.
March Expo, Alibaba.com's annual month-long promotional event that offers new products and services from new trends and insights, where you can explore new opportunities, lower costs, and source with certainty. Be the first to access new product launches and get a sneak peek into the latest breakthrough products via live streams from 40 standout suppliers across 10 key industries. Deep dive into over 200 leading innovation showcases and experience cutting-edge production techniques through live streams and videos, so you can bring your products to life via better and newer solutions. March Expo, Alibaba.
Hello and welcome to the March Expo opening event. And this is Ming Yang. I'm from the Alibaba.com buyer team. And I'm very excited. This time we're bringing you 4 special events during March Expo with a focus on stay competitive and thrive in 2023. March Expo is Alibaba.com's annual month-long promotional event, as you have seen in the video, from millions of newly released products, live streaming of production, and innovative technologies, 90-day guaranteed lowest price, to buyer benefits, flexible terms, trade assurance, etc. So make sure you click on the link in the comment to the event page and check out more details. And today and tomorrow, we have 2 opening sessions of the live events. And I couldn't be more excited to be joined by 3 special guests today, Kian, Fernando, and Brendan. And I will have our guests to do a quick self-introduction. So Kian.
Yes, how's it going, guys? Hope you're well. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Kian Golzari, and I've been living and working in China for the past 12 years. In that time, I've designed, developed, and sourced more than 2,500 products, visited more than 500 factories, and attended more than 20 Canton fairs. And that's led me to develop products for different retailers' licenses, such as the NBA, Olympics, United Nations, Ministry of Defense, as well as a lot of big box retailers in the UK, Europe, and the US. As well as a lot of Amazon private label sellers and Shopify sellers. And the main question I get asked quite a lot is like, well, how are you able to manufacture for so many of these different types of companies? And it really comes down to the common denominator. If you can source the best product at the best price from the best factory and really understand the product and deliver on time, then you can supply anyone you want. And those are the sort of principles that I've been sort of teaching, through YouTube. And that's what I want to share with you guys today on this webinar. So thank you very much for having me.
Excellent. So Fernando, go ahead and do a quick intro. And you're on mute.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm Fernando Herrera. I'm the founder and CEO of thetiredealer.com. We primarily sell tires online through a network of warehouses in the US. And recently we've also been developing software to help shops, just manage their shops better. And I'm based in Vegas, and I like to teach people what I do. Sometimes that's how to buy or import tires from Thailand, Vietnam, and again, sometimes it's products or auto parts using Alibaba as well.
Thank you. So Brendan.
Hey everybody, my name is Brandon. I go by Investment Joy on social media. Got a pretty decent YouTube channel. My claim to fame is the fact that I grew up poor, but it was evicted twice, once when I was 6 years old, once when I was 18. As time went on, I ended up, started working in warehousing, got into transition from warehousing to real estate, started a real estate investment company in 2013. We've grown to providing 130 some rental units in Southern Ohio. We provide active housing for over 400 people. I also started going out and buying laundromats and car washes and vending machines. I also owned a local newspaper company in Southern Ohio. Also the social media business, training, coaching, helping people start their own businesses like laundromats and car washes and vending. Same stuff that I've done. And I guess what I'm going to be talking to people about today is just the process of being efficient through sourcing good quality products. I've found in all of these businesses that I run in, if you overspend or you buy wrong things, it can absolutely kill your business. If you're efficient, you do the right things. You could take an average business and you can just explode it. One of my companies that I recently purchased, it was doing $175,000 a year in gross top line revenue. Just some small changes. We've spent $20,000 out of pocket to make it more efficient. This year, I think it'll do $400,000 to $500,000. So just small changes procedurally over the course of time have yielded us just absolutely phenomenal results.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing all your stories and introduction. So Brendan, I will just directly follow up with your comment. So starting off when you were 18, you didn't have a lot of resources, and as you mentioned, and today you have just achieved so many, things and built many business. So a lot of the times we hear from our customers the fear of getting started. So how did you get started and just overcome the fear to jump into new business?
Well, for me, I guess the thing is when you have nothing, it's easy to do something. When you're making $11 an hour, which I realize for some people that's a lot of money, but for me at 18, 19, 20 years old, it was very apparent to me that I'd never be able to do anything in life making a little over $10 an hour. I had to do something that didn't require formal education. Because my dad's heart attack when I was 18, there was just no chance on earth that I was going to be able to go to college to get no formal training. I had to find something that I could do with no formal education. And that's what led me to get into real estate. I realized that most of the people in my community, in my area, didn't have formal education, but they were doing very, very well. And it's one of those things that I've consistently found in life. If you don't know something, you can learn it. It's just going to take some time. So it's just been this over and over again process over almost 15 years, trial and error and iteration, getting a little bit better. And that's kind of what I've taken to all of my businesses, whether it's my YouTube channel or my laundromat or my vending machine company, just getting a little bit better over time, going out and researching, doing surveys, finding out how can I improve the process of everything. It's like Kian on the stream, he said that he pits different product suppliers against each other. And I do that in all my businesses. If I want to learn how a car wash works, I'm just going to go to one of my competitors and say, hey, I'm interested in this thing. Can you tell me about it? I love to learn. And I take that information and I apply it to some other location somewhere else. And I found that if you have time to spend and you're willing to put that effort into it, anybody, in my opinion, anybody can be successful. It's not about who you are. It's not about where you're from. It doesn't matter whether your mom or dad were wealthy or you've got a rich uncle waiting in the wings, because none of that stuff was was for me. But I've been able to work through it, and I think that that's kind of like the defining thing in this scale. With I have over 5 million subscribers, over 1 billion video views on social media, and I've been blessed to talk to business owners all around the world. Some of these guys running, I know 2 or 3 people that are well on their way to being billionaires. And I have found consistently, whether it's the guy starting out or the guy that's ultimately successful, if you can hustle, you can iterate, and you try to get a little better over time, limit. There isn't any limit to this stuff.
Yeah, that's really good to hear, and especially for a lot of the audience who are maybe thinking about trying something new, right, and just don't want to jump in. So it's really encouraging. So in today's session, we're also going to share insights from Alibaba.com's 2023 sourcing strategy report. This report is designed to help a small, medium business to grow in 2023. So in this report, we also did a survey, and we have found top 4 challenges that small business really kind of see today. And the top 2 are difficulty in finding new product ideas or finding unique ideas. So Brendan, how do you usually find new business ideas? Or if you're looking for a new product, how do you find the product ideas?
Definitely a social media guy. And right now, from what I've seen, the world's at your fingertips as far as it's easy to get on something like TikTok or YouTube or Facebook or Instagram and find out where the trends are. And I know when I'm looking at coming up with a new level of iteration, I need to find something to fill a vending machine, or I'm looking for a housing product. What's going to be the next big moneymaker for one of my companies? It's easy to get on there and start seeing trends, and then kind of looking at the trends. But then what's the next thing? What is a trend behind the trend? Here in the United States, Pokemon cards are a big thing. And okay, that's a great thing. How can I make money off of it? And then what you do is you start researching trends behind those trends. Well, how could I take a product, let's say Pokemon cards, and find some other supporting thing that has a higher margin that I could take and I could put a little bit of a spin on it and make more money? And my kids, they buy products. I know I'm supposed to talk about construction products, but my kids buy stuff off Alibaba, and they resell it to their friends because they've seen a trend on Instagram or TikTok. And I think it was my 13-year-old daughter, my oldest one. She made an extra $300 the other month just by finding these little plastic toys that she bought for a quarter a piece or 10 cents a piece off Alibaba. Blew my mind. I said, "How did you find those, sweetie?" And she said, "Oh, my friends watched this video on TikTok and we went and bought these things." I said, that's amazing. But that's a very small little example of what my company does at scale in the world of real estate and construction, and then to a lesser extent with car washes and laundromats. You have to be out there looking at different social media platforms, but we're to a point you can aggregate data in my eyes very easily, very quickly.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Well, I'm very happy that your kids stay competitive in their worlds by using Alibaba.com. We're very honored. So we want to learn a bit more. How do you utilize Alibaba.com to help you stay competitive in your industry?
The big thing is, as we transition and the economy starts shifting, one of my big core takeaways is making sure that I'm getting materials and equipment at the lowest possible price while maintaining quality. Here recently, I've seen a huge increase in the cost of flooring, for instance. And I've seen that my competitors are raising their prices the same way that I am. But I've come to the realization that if my businesses are able to leverage Alibaba and maintain a low level price, then we can pass those kinds of benefits on to our customers. And then if I can take those savings, pass them on to my customers, I can retain my competitiveness in this market. But then I also could increase my margins, or at least that choice is something that's going to be left up to me. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yes, definitely makes sense. Thank you. Appreciate the comments. So let me come to you, Fernando. Hey, so I read in your channel that you like building new projects and running new business, and you're actually in a very traditional auto parts and tire industry, right? That's very different. So how do you find your new business ideas, and how do you kind of find your niche?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say definitely, it's not the auto industry. It's not like, finding a new snack or there's a new trend or a new, something that people are gonna buy. Typically, it's very predictable in the sense that it's just tires, auto parts, and the services that are performed are fairly predictable, just mount and balance and so on and so forth. But we have been seeing a bit of a trend more towards the EV stuff. And again, just in general, I agree with Brandon. I think social media is still a great way for you to identify trends. So, for example, right now in my industry, we're noticing a lot of motivation towards mobile installers. So people wanting to actually invest in a mobile van. I know that because I did a whole series about that, and there were a lot of people, and there's still a lot of people that are interested. And rather than having to go to a traditional tire shop, you just get your tires changed from your house. And so that seems to be a trend that, again, if you were a little more active, you could maybe kind of jump in. But then again, it does take a bit of thought into thinking, okay, well, what's next? What could happen after the mobile van? And so I think that's really, I guess it's kind of hard to tell, right? Especially in the tire industry right now, we really can only see the mobile tire shops, new products with EVs like tires. And personally speaking, I mean, I've been invested in more other parts, but yeah, that's how I personally find just niches, just doing research and seeing what others are kind of like following through.
Yeah, and also you guys all expert in your industry, inside out what's happening, right? So keep stay on top of that. It's definitely show your expertise. So when you mentioned you come to Alibaba.com to look for all kinds of tools and different things all the time. So how do you usually find suppliers using Alibaba.com, or use different ways?
Yeah, so when I use Alibaba.com, normally I just, start by searching, let's say a very typical product that I'm familiar with buying through Alibaba.com is wheel weights, right? So anytime any tire shop, anyone who installs tires needs to balance your tires in order for to have a smooth ride. And wheel weights are often overseen. It's something that every shop needs, but they just buy them locally. And so I started buying them through Alibaba. And so what I did, I selected a few suppliers. I bought some samples. That's something that most suppliers will allow you to do. Buy some samples, kind of, we tested them on some wheels, make sure that they wouldn't fall off. And then once we found the quality that we were looking for, we started negotiating on the price. And of course, most of the time it requires a bit of volume, but for the most part, it's still much more affordable than buying them locally. And it allows us to, offer that, to our other network of tire shops or through our wholesale channel.
Sounds good. So the tire industry and auto industry seems to be quite competitive in my opinion. Like when I'm not expert, but I feels like it's quite competitive. There are different tiers of the tires. There are premium brands. So how do you stay competitive in the industry? And I wonder if Alibaba has helped you in any way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, you stay competitive by providing value to your customer. We normally like to, there's always that price war, right? That everybody wants to be the cheapest, everybody wants to be the most affordable. But at the end of the day, I personally feel now, I could be wrong on this, right? But I feel it's just a race to the bottom. Nobody wins, if you're just pricing and price fighting with everyone. I think if you just focus on providing better value, through warranty, through, if a tire's defective, just taking care of it for them, giving them another one. I think that's something that really creates that customer loyalty and trust. And so Alibaba has helped us, I'm trying to think of a specific scenario. One that comes to mind is we do whenever we install new tires, there's used tires that are left. And so we sometimes have a lot of these used tires and they're hard to keep track of. And some customers, they can't afford new tires. So we sometimes will often offer used tires. So we needed a label, a custom label that we could put, used tire, and we could write with the marker, the size. And so we sourced that through Alibaba, and a lot of customers would really like it because it's not just your typical used tire, that's just out there. They had labels and it just gave a presentation much better. And I think that's something Alibaba.com helped us accomplish.
Wow, that's a good example, because we not just the core products. A lot of times people come to Alibaba.com looking for like packaging, right? Accessories and things like that, because it is really the platform for almost everything you can find. So thank you for that example. And one last question. So you mentioned you're kind of the second generation of your family running the business, right? And I can imagine like maybe 20 years ago, the business is very different from what is going on today. So how do you innovate and disrupt the industry to adapt to what's kind of happening today, the new economy?
Yeah, I mean, I do remember right back with my dad, I remember there was no such thing as Facebook. And I remember us starting our first Facebook page and putting money into that and finding, actually closing sales. And that was very interesting. Definitely things have changed. I think currently, right now I'm starting to reach a point where I start seeing younger audience just, use or follow trends that I didn't even predict seeing. And so I think it's really, again, for me, it's just being vigilant into what our customer base is doing, specifically the younger base audience is doing, because those are the ones that are going to predict how they're going to like to shop around. What is it that they like? What is it that they value? And if you can really pinpoint that down fairly well, and you can predict, what is it that they want and the way they want it, I think you could do very well.
Excellent. Thank you for the comment. So Kian, here's the challenge again, the top two challenges our buyers facing. How the challenge to find suppliers and the challenge to find new product ideas. And you probably have the perfect answers for that. But first, let me ask you, why do you think it is difficult to find suppliers?
Yeah, I actually don't think it's difficult to find suppliers because there's such an abundance of very good quality suppliers on Alibaba.com. But there's also some maybe not as good suppliers which have slipped through the cracks, right? And I think the buyer's job is the most important thing is the filtering process. Is that how do I align with a supplier which adds the most value to my business? And based on what size of business you are, there's different suppliers you should be aligning with, right? So if you're a beginner supplier, if you're a beginner brand, beginner customer, you should not be aligning with the suppliers which have got 2,000 employees, which are making for Disney and Walmart and all that, because they're just not interested in working with you because you haven't hit that scale yet. And if they do quote you a price, it's going to be a very expensive price. So if you're starting out, like I like to go to Alibaba.com, search by verified factories, go on the company profile and see how many number of workers they have. And if I'm like starting a new product or a new brand and I just want to do like a trial order, I'm way more likely to get it from a factory which is much smaller and maybe only has like 25 or 50 workers, because they're also quite lean and agile and like to try new things and stuff like that. And then if I'm supplying a product to like a retailer in the US where we're talking about hundreds of thousands of units, then I need to align with the top manufacturers. So it's not very, I think using it correctly is the most important thing. And when you go to Alibaba.com, you can search by either products or by manufacturers. And I think where a lot of people go wrong is they type in the product that they're looking for and they hit search. And then they just see all these different companies where the image of the product looks the exact same. Let's say it's a outdoor camping chair. We don't know if that's polyester material or nylon material. We don't know if that's aluminum material or steel material, right? And we see the prices, which will be like $5.80, $9.20, $15. And people are kind of incentivized to go for the cheapest price, right? But you're not actually getting the best quality product or the best quality supplier. So for that reason, I always search by manufacturers rather than by product. And I type in the product that I'm looking for. And then I kind of filter through it to see like who are the manufacturers that I want to speak with. And the types of things I look for are, you know, verified suppliers. I always select trade assurance, so your payments are protected. I like to look at the number of years they've been on Alibaba.com and the number of years that they've been in business as well. Because you might find that they've only been on Alibaba.com for 3 years and think, oh, this is a new company. But when you click on their profile, you see that they've been established since like 1999 and they're 24 years old. I was like, oh, that's perfect. That's exactly the type of company I want to work with. I also want to see like which markets do they supply, right? So where is their attention going? Because it tells you on the verified information that, okay, 55% of our exports go to North America, 25% go to Western Europe, 10% go to South America. Whereas like some suppliers, you'll see, okay, 50% of our exports go to the Middle East, 20% go to like Africa, and 30% is for the domestic market in China. And I'm like, well, they might be a very good supplier, but that's not someone that I want to work with because I'm selling this product in the US and they need to be familiar with the US quality standards, the US certifications, the US testing. And if they've never supplied that market before, it's not the right supplier for me. And then I also like to look at, is that manufacturer in the area which specializes in that product, right? Because having spent enough time in China, you sort of realize that different regions specialize in different types of products, and they specialize in those products based on their proximity to the raw material of that product, right? And where I like to really use Alibaba.com is that when you search by manufacturers and you search a product that you're looking for, it brings up all the suppliers' company names, right? But the first word in every company name is always the city or the province in which that manufacturer is located. So you can start to see, like, okay, if it's an electronic product, the majority of the names will say Shenzhen, 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 because that's the area that specializes in electronics. And then all of a sudden, if I see another city like Fujian or Qinzhou or Xiamen, I'm like, well, that company is not in the area which specializes in that product, so it's a bit of an outlier. I wouldn't dismiss them immediately. I would click on their profile, read into it, and see what products they really specialize in. But that also gives you a very good idea of who are the best manufacturers for this product. So there's so many things that we can do on Alibaba.com to see who is the right manufacturer to align with. But I feel that there's not enough, and I only really learned this by doing it in real life, right? And now I can apply these sort of principles to online. But the great thing about Alibaba.com is that it filters all these things out for you, or you can search by these filters. So for example, when we select manufacturers, on the left side of the page, it gives us all the factory certification that we can select, like BSCI and all these different types of certification, ISO, and then below that you have the product certification. So if it's the electronic product, it's like CE and ROHS. If it's like got wood or paper, it's like FSC. If you know the certifications that your product has, you can be like, oh great, they have that certificate, I'm going to tick those boxes. And if you don't know what any of these certificates are, you can just Google what they are, of what Alibaba.com brings up on the left. So I feel that there's a lot of tools there to help you align with the best manufacturer for your business, but maybe a beginner who's never done this before just goes on Alibaba.com, types in the product, goes for the cheapest price, orders the production, and then they have issues and they wonder why this is not a good factory. But really, the best factories were there for you. You just didn't necessarily find them because of your filtering process. So I think that's very, very important in terms of how to find the good quality suppliers. And I think the next part of the question was, how do you get your new product ideas, right?
Yes, that's right. Second most challenging issue for the new buyers.
So for me, there's a few things I like to do, right? Depending on if it's a product that I'm very familiar with, that I've been using myself, or if it's a brand new product that I've never used before. What I like to do is I always like to go and maybe go into a retail store or go on Amazon and buy like maybe the top 3 performing, what I think are the best products in this particular category or area, right? And then I like to use the product myself because I'm very hands-on, because I'm a product developer. I like to learn by doing and learn by using, right? So when I'm using the product, let's say for example, even if it's something as simple as a coffee mug, right? I have to drink 5 cups of hot water out of it to be like, look, does the handle get hot? Does the like paint on it chip? If I drop it, does it smash? Does it fit into the side pouch of my backpack? Or if it's like an outdoor tent, I'm sleeping in it, I'm pitching in it, did I get cold? Is it waterproof? All that sort of stuff. So whatever product it is, I have to use and test it myself, right? And as I'm using it and testing it myself, whether it's a sample I got from a factory or whether it's items I bought online or from a retail store, I always write a list of here's all my likes about this product and here's all my dislikes about this product. Here's what I really want to keep on the product and here's what I want to improve on. And here's all the things that I just don't like that I want to get rid of. And then I try and translate that information into like a specification sheet that a manufacturer will understand and know how to make use of so that they're very familiar of what I need, right? So that's kind of the first step that I do. Then as well, and I always want to have I want to make my own opinion first, which is why I don't read the positive and negative reviews on Amazon, because I don't want to be influenced by what other people like. I want to make my own assumptions first. Then the next step is I'll read the positive and negative reviews to be like, did I miss anything? Or are other people also having the same issues as me? And then another quick hack I like to do is I like to go into the retail stores, right? So like, let's say we're selecting anything auto parts, right? I would go into a auto parts store, right? And then whatever product it is that I'm looking at developing, I'll just look at the best-selling items on the shelf and I'll ask for help from someone who works in the store to be like, hey, I'm thinking about buying these tires, or I'm thinking about buying these like covers to go over the car at night when it's like cold weather or whatever, so it doesn't get damaged by rain. Which ones are the best performing? Like which ones do you think will last the longest? Out of interest, which ones have had the most returns? And like, you'll be surprised how much knowledge a person who works in a store has on that product, because they've dealt with all the customer questions, they've used the product themselves, they've dealt with all the returns, and they might be like, hey, you know what, just stay away from this brand because they've always had issues with this, the stitching always comes loose. And you're like, oh, good note, right? I'll make sure the stitching is solid. I'm going to double stitch that bit. So you can learn a lot from just asking questions to the people which work in retail stores. And then it's kind of like end-to-end spectrum, right? I like to get information from the retail stores for my own using and testing. And I also like to get information from the manufacturers as well. Because let's say it's a manufacturer I've worked with before, I would ask them, hey, like, what new items are you working on? Like, because we're product developers, but so are manufacturers. They have to keep innovating. They're making this product every day for loads of different brands all over the world. So they have to constantly come up with new ideas as well. And they know you're a customer because you've been placing business to them. So I'm like, look, I want to increase my business with you. I want to be ordering more units. I want to be selling more units next year. What are you guys working on? What do you guys suggest? Like, how do we make this product a little bit tougher? How do we make it lighter? How do we make it more waterproof? Whatever it may be. And they're like, oh, by the way, well, you know what? We're trying out this new material, and you know, it's like really water resistant. It's really light. It doesn't have that much thick coating on it. It can pack really light. And so I get a lot of ideas off them as well. And then the other thing as well is that if your manufacturer is like international, like exporting to a lot of different countries, I would just ask them randomly, hey, by the way, what's working in the Brazil market? What are you exporting to Germany these days? what's happening in Japan? How many customers have you got there? Where are they buying these days? And they'll give you insights into what other countries are buying as well, because sometimes before a trend pops off in our own country, it's already popped off in another country. So if they say, you know what, we've got this customer from Germany, which has just got this like really weird pattern on their product, but they're just selling like crazy. I was like, oh, cool. Can I see the pattern? By the way, I don't want to copy the pattern. I just want to get an idea so I can develop my own version of that. And they're like, okay, cool. Yeah, no worries. And they're very, very open to sharing information with you, so long as you're like an existing customer, because they know you're going to place business. So, and the final thing I would say, which I've only started using recently, is that like ChatGPT is like the buzzword right now, right? I didn't necessarily want to use ChatGPT because I consider myself an expert in my area. So I was like, there's nothing this thing can't tell me that I already don't know. So anyway, I type in with ChatGPT. I picked a random product and I was like, hey, give me 5 new product innovations for the electric microwave that have never been done before. And then it gave me 5 brand new ideas. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So like you can take ideas that it gives you and then you can turn that into a spec sheet and then you can pass that on to your suppliers as well. So to summarize, I use the product myself. I write my own list of likes and dislikes. I read the positive and negative reviews of other sellers online. I go into retail stores and I chat with the people which work in the retail stores. I also talk to my manufacturers as well, what they're working on. And then now I use artificial intelligence as well.
All right, perfect answer. So we got a lot of questions from the audience. So we will have a Q&A section at the end of this event. So don't worry, we'll answer your questions. We also get a fan for Kian. Just shout out to Facebook fan Jashad. I think last name is Jatt Jad. So thank you for calling out and a fan of Kian. So let's move on to the next subject. You sent a gift to your fans. So coming to 2023, a lot of industry and business experts, they were predicting a potential recession. The U.S. economy, U.S. consumer index shows the consumer spending has been shrinking across the general market over the last year. 53% of people saying they're holding back on non-essential spending, while spending on essentials have dropped less. So at the same time, we did a research of Alibaba.com's year-to-year change, and we find a 28% increase in organic unique visitors on Alibaba.com, which means there are 28 more unique, visitors on the platform. They come to the site and they use Alibaba to look for different products and suppliers. So we feel optimistic in spite of the economy and what experts say. The sourcing demands of business owners is still on the rise. But I'd love to hear the experts' opinions on the economy, the recession, and what's happening in your industry. So, Brendan, how about your industry? What's your thoughts on that?
Sure. I mean, I went through the last recession. I got in real estate right before the last one happened. And the thing that I keep coming back to is, like, in the United States, when they're concerned about a recession, they're looking at maybe a 5% decrease for over the course of 1 or 2 year period in GDP. And as a whole picture, that's not a lot, but it's going to be catastrophic to certain small businesses that haven't prepared. It's why I like Alibaba.com so much, because it allows me to go straight to the factory, and using verified suppliers with Alibaba.com, I can make sure that quality is going to be there, and I can cut my costs significantly. So if the whole market decreases 5%, which will make businesses that are on the razor's edge go bankrupt, it'll allow my company to actually scale and grow and thrive. I've got a friend in Southern California. He's one of the billionaire guys that I mentioned earlier. He did that because he was prepared for the recession in 2007, 8, and 9 in the United States. He said, I'm saving up money. I'm going to go buy all the houses I possibly can outside Los Angeles. And he was prepared for it. And he's just done incredibly well. He's positioned himself wonderful through coronavirus, and he's continued to do super well. But if you don't prepare for those things, you don't plan for decreases in potential consumer spending, shift in consumer spending from things that were considered non-essential, where they're tightening those expenditures up and they're going mostly with essentials, and keeping those things in mind and being efficient. If you do that, you're poised for growth. If you're not paying attention to those things, you're going to hurt yourself. And that's really what I'm looking at doing with my businesses. And when I do training with people, that's when I'm reminding them, take a look at these things, be warned.
Yeah, that's very good advice. So Fernando, how about your industry and your thoughts?
Yeah. So, I mean, tires for us is a commodity, right? So it's not like if you get a flat, you can't just say, well, I'm not going to change my tire. But what we have noticed is a trend in people, if before you were going to buy, let's say, a higher tier tire, tier 1, tier 2, your typical Goodyear Michelin tire, well, now you're going to be more incentivized to maybe save $100 on a cheaper brand, right? Or a brand that perhaps you've never heard of, as long as the quality or the mileage warranty is there. And so that's what we expect. We are honestly, and we've been seeing this trend for quite some time now, but we're noticing a trend on lower tier tires. So tier 3 and tier 4 tires, they're starting to sell more. And so sometimes that's good because, lower tiers have the ability to have a higher margin, but that's where, Alibaba.com can be definitely a good place to source specifically, because tier 1, tier 2, Goodyear, Michelin, normally there's a controlled supply chain for those types of brands. But, entry-level brands, they're a lot more easier to get a hold of. And so we're starting to see, again, more demand towards that type of product. And I really expect that to continue, honestly. And there might be some newer brands that are actually going to thrive because, people are going to try them out. They're actually going to trust in them. And then you're going to get, eventually brand recognition and so on and so forth.
Yeah, definitely. So I think our goal at Alibaba.com is really to help small, medium business like yours to be able to compete on the same level with those large, billion-dollar brands, right? So we will try our best to help you get the same stage with them and compete with them. So in our sourcing strategy reports for 2023, we also see very similar kind of trends, especially in the essential categories. So big essential meaning those items and categories people usually they have to purchase, right? It's a need. And very interestingly, we see the auto parts, construction, building machinery, and tools and hardware and construction real estate, they're the top 4, the fastest growing categories on Alibaba.com. And their year-to-year growth are 72%, 70, 56, 51% respectively. So Brandon, are you surprised to see those numbers? It's like 72%, and 70% on the construction related categories. That's like a huge growth.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and I love looking at market research and data, but it's going to be one of those things that, to me, it's always coming back to positioning. Am I positioned for success when things go bad? Am I positioned for if things go well? I get so much input from people that never took on risk over the past 10 years since we came out of the last recession. And the people that were willing to take risk to make sure that they were positioning themselves right in their business, they've done astronomical over the past 10 years. As it is now, there's a huge concern for market decreases, whether you're in the construction field. A lot of builders that I know in the Midwest region, in the East Coast of the United States, they're already scaling back on their work crews. And they're already making assumptions like as if their specific market's going to go down significantly. Yet I keep coming back to the fact that if you make those choices already, but you're not preparing yourself for what if things aren't as bad as predicted, what if things go well, then you're not able to pivot, you're not able to make those moves, and then you end up not doing as well as you could. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Especially for essential categories, right? Those are the items where people live, like a baby products, right? Including consumable and non-consumable categories, like constructions and auto parts. Those are the things people use in spite of the recession, right? They have to use those for their day-to-day life. So that's why we see a pretty strong growth in essential categories, and we want to support the customers to be more competitive. And so one of the things we do is to focus on providing high quality products with competitive cost. And our reports shows that being the cost leader for quality products helps the business win, being very competitive. So coming to Kian, you have seen like different categories across the board as well. So are you kind of surprised to see the growth numbers on Alibaba.com?
I think it's really interesting, and I think that we might have, while like the consumer's disposable income may have gone down, but the demand on Alibaba.com has gone up, or the increase in traffic and volume. I think it could be a couple of factors. It could be that a lot of people have manufactured their product domestically. Like, let's say they've used a factory in the USA or Europe or somewhere like that. But now, because of cost pressures, people are like, well, really, we have to now be sourcing it at the absolute best price. So let's have a look online. Because I think a misconception is that Alibaba.com is just China, but it's not. It's factories all over the world. So I always, when I'm searching for a product, I'll kind of start off with China, but then I'll also look at other countries as well to see like which other countries specialize in this type of product. And I feel that like you might have a lack of supply in the US. Like, let's say, for example, in the last couple of years, demand has maybe gone up quite a lot. So the factories are maybe just a lot more busy. So people go to them and they're not able to supply the volumes, because a lot of people forget in the Far East that which other country in the world has got that infrastructure where you can mass produce 100,000 units of one item to a very high quality with very high skilled labor and turn that around in like 60 days. Whereas if you were scaling your business domestically in the US or Europe or somewhere like that, and you're like, look, I need 100,000 units and I need it in 60 days, they might say, oh, well, it was going to be 6 months. And then you're like, well, okay, let me go check on Alibaba.com to see what other countries are able to do this, right? So not only could it be a lack of supply, it could also be pressure on the price. But another thing that I've noticed myself is that, I think it was in like 2018, Trump put a lot of tariffs on Chinese goods. So the import duties went up quite a lot, right? And very gradually, some of those tariffs have been taken away. The import duty percentage has been lowered. And I think that goods might actually be cheaper than what people think if they keep an eye on the import duty rate. And for the import duty rates, which have maybe not reduced, and the cost of goods or cost of materials have gone up, maybe the cost of labor have gone up, manufacturers are very, very smart, right? And they know in the Far East which are the regions which have like lower cost of labor, like neighboring countries like Myanmar and Bangladesh and places like that. So I've got Chinese factories that I've been working with for many years, and they have set up production lines in other countries, and they go there with their knowledge of production lines and equipment and machinery and tooling and training a workforce. And then they go and train workforces in other countries. And then they'll say, hey, Kian, this product you've been purchasing, now we've just opened up a factory in Myanmar. You should purchase from there. There's lesser duty rates, lesser labor costs, lesser material costs, and the quality of the goods are just the same. Here's a sample if you want to check it out. So I think that you might have seen an increase in traffic to Alibaba.com because of other countries as well coming through outside of China, which now, because of Alibaba.com, they're able to have a presence there as well. And I think for anyone, whatever category of product that you're in, if you're like, well, what country specializes in my product, just analyze the raw material of your product. So if it's a wood product, like India is very strong for wood, like cotton, canvas, handcraft, leather, things like that. And then like, whether it's like marble or something else, there's a different region for that. If it's metal or steel, there's a different region for that. So just research the raw materials and components of your product and just figure out, maybe even just Google which countries specialize in these products, and then type those products into Alibaba. Because before we talked about search by products and search by manufacturers, if you're looking at the countries, search by products. And when you type your product in, on the left side of the page, it will bring up all the countries which have a result for that product. So I could type in leather jacket, right? And I hit search in products. And on the left side, it will have Pakistan, India, Italy, all these other countries, and you're like, wow, I didn't realize that there's that many results in Italy or in India for this type of product. So that could be another reason why we're seeing a lot more traffic coming in as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we do have a very strong global supplier base. We have supplier from everywhere in the world. So yeah, that's a very good point. So I think before we jump into the next session, I would love for the speakers to kind of talk about or foresee any challenges or what's going to happen in the rest of the 2023, and how would you advise the small, medium business to stay competitive? So Brendan, you want to start?
For me, the big thing is, like in this specific use case, utilizing Alibaba to get wholesale rates, making sure that you're cost competitive. Because we had another speaker say that in some cases it's a race to a bottom, and I would agree. I know when years ago, when my family wasn't doing well, one of the things that we would buy cheap would be tires. And you'd go from the Goodyear or Goodyear type brand to the cheapest thing you could find because that's all you had money for. And I know that in my world of construction and housing, bringing about more affordable housing is going to provide huge benefit to my customers, and it'll ultimately help my company to grow, to scale, to be bigger during a down environment. Switching from luxury, non-essential things to more essential things. I think it's just one of those things where if I keep my eye on the prize, maintain a low cost, then I can make the choice. Do I need to be more cost competitive with my competitors? Do I need to drop my costs? We're seeing some price elasticity and a lot of different things. Last year, grocery costs were at the forefront of everybody, in at least that I've talked to in the United States, as well as a lot of my friends in Europe. And I've seen the data start showing that grocery prices are starting to come down a little bit. From experience, I would see that the companies that are being able to price their groceries aggressively, they'll get a much larger market share than the ones that aren't able to rapidly decrease prices or reposition themselves in the market. If you're unable to reposition yourselves in the market quick enough, from my perspective, you're poisoning yourself for failure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds good. So Fernando, what do you see is going to happen in 2023 in your industry, and how do you advise small, medium business to prepare?
Yeah, I actually agree a lot with Brandon. I think that in the tire industry, what's happening right now, it's a lot of people have been buying product or tires to stock to keep an inventory.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of surplus coming into the market. A lot of these manufacturers, because of production issues or, just raw materials constraints, they weren't able to produce as much. But now that material's coming in, and so what's going to happen is a lot of people that have been buying tires for inventory, that inventory is going to be devaluated. And there's going to be a lot more cheaper inventory in the market. And so for 2023, I don't know really, it's really a guess, but that's something that I would be very concerned of. If you have high inventory in stock, maybe selling it right now and keeping the essentials, but being very cautious that I'm also noticing a trend that tires had been going up for the past 2 years, and as of January of this year, it's every month there's been a small decrease in price. And so they could get more aggressive. And, at the end of the day, consumers are going to be purchasing, the most price competitive product, because if that tire shop in the corner has it for $5 cheaper, then, they're going to go with that shop. Or even if as a wholesaler, if you're selling it to all these tire shops and your other wholesaler competitor has it for $1 cheaper, they're going to pick the other competitor. So that's something that, I would just keep an eye on. And I think that for 2023, we're definitely going to see tires price continue to go down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, be diligent on the price and the cost. It's definitely going to be critical in 2023. So thanks so much for all the insights and this report's sourcing strategies 2023 for SMBs by Alibaba.com. We'll post it on our website and social media. So definitely come back and check out the reports after this event. So in the next section, we'll have some surprises for our audience. We invited a supplier, which is an industry leader in construction business, to join our live events. Joining from China is Cindy from China Green Container House, or CGCH. Hi, Cindy.
Hi guys, hi Min, hi Brandon, Fernando, hi Kian.
Yeah, we're doing a matchmaking today between you and Brandon. So yeah, thanks for joining us. It's so late. Wow, it actually is so early. It's like 4 a.m. your time, right? Appreciate it.
It's 10 to 4.
Yeah. So let's start with a quick introduction to the suppliers. Give us some idea what the supplier does.
Yeah, thank you so much. And first of all, I would like to give a brief introduction of our company, and then I might have a quick time to show you guys around our showroom, about the dome house, about the bubble house, also some small container houses.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's excellent. Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, so can you see my slides? Is
Yes.
it okay to show my slides? Yeah, thank you. And yeah, we are mainly a container house manufacturer in Jiangmen City, which is located in Guangdong. And also this is our mainly production line, automatic production line of the container houses, and also other modular houses. And our daily input of the container houses will be more than 300 units. And this production line that leads to that we can produce the container houses in a very short time, and also we can get some massive orders from domestic or overseas. For example, in the past few years, China is suffering the COVID-19, and we built over 59 container houses hospital for domestic market, and also for overseas project. And we have overcome with the Qatar fever, because we know that the Qatar is quite a small population country with maybe with 6 million of population. Then it have to supply it have to take in double the tourists of its population. So that's why they consider importing from China of more than 10,000 units of container houses, and we have supplied 2,000 units of them. So from design to installation, we only put 6 months to finish all the job. So it's a very biggest advantage of the modular houses and container houses. Yeah. And also during recently, that Turkey also suffering a serious earthquake, and we also help them to reload the containers to donate to Turkey. So you can see that is another advantage of the container houses, that we can recycling of these houses. Yeah. And besides of this container houses, one of our right now I'm standing is also one of our modular houses. You can have a quick look of this later. I can show you around. And yeah, this is the bubble house that we are standing inside. Wait a second, I'm going to show you, because it's in nighttime. I would like to show you that if it's in the daytime, what it look like. I'm sorry.
I can see Brenda making notes. He's gonna place the order.
Thank you. And yeah, this is our showroom. It's an outdoor showroom in our factories in the daytime. So we also present the modular houses and also container houses and also bubble houses in our showroom to display to our clients. This is the daytime looks. And also this is how it looks at the daytime. And right now I'm in front of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is an oral one, and it's a multi scenarios, and this is how we produce them in our production line. But this one is mainly installation for man work. Yeah, I can have a quick through of these contents. Yes. Okay. So
Looks very romantic.
thank you. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So Brendan, would you think that those things seems like something that may work in the US market? So what's your thoughts?
I mean, the pictures are gorgeous. I see a lot of things I want. My mind's immediately going to come down to costs. How many, if we're talking about flat pack walls, flat pack houses, and how many can come on a container? I know that, as I'm taking notes, I'm talking with my team and asking, what is our container shipment price? Where would they transport things to? Those are the kinds of questions that I have a lot of questions on, because we go back to this potential recession, going back to aggressively pricing things. Right now in my market, I know exactly what it's going to cost for new build construction. Even with domestically sourced unfinished container houses, I know where that's going to be per square meter, or per square foot for if you're watching in the United States. I know what my build out costs for those are. So my big thing is, what pricing are we looking at? How are they going to be finished internally for the American market? Are they going to be just a generic thing that we can kind of customize for the American market? If I can get them pre-built to American standards, what's that going to look like? And just going to be, what's my end result going to be cost-wise? Those are the important questions for me and my team. I know we've already looked at land and locations that we can install these things based on a prior conversation that we had team-wise.
Okay. Brandon, and according to your queries, the first question is that how many units we can load in the container, in the shipping container. So it depends on vary from different structure. For some flat pack one, the bottom and the top pre-assemble, you can have like 8 units in 140 high Q. But if the same product like the Fever project, we can have more than 18 units in 140 high Q.
Very nice. Those are just numbers that I need to figure out, so then we know what the cost per 40-foot container is, because I just happen to live very close to one of the largest intermodal hubs in the Midwest. So those are really important things. Finishing based on the American market, that's kind of something important to me. And then, like, what does the insulation look like? What does the electrical standards look like? Like, how compatible are these going to be with, the better I can get those questions answered, it'll either allow me to suit my customer needs more, or it'll help me pass zoning and compliance locally.
So for example, if like the folding containers, so you can install like in 50 minutes. So this we prefabricated in very much of it in our factory. So we can also pre-install the electricity and the windows and the doors in our factory. So for this product folding containers, you don't need to worry about the United States standard of the electricity. We can also purchase all the standards for you, and you will only need about 15 minutes to install. And also, but for the detachable one, it's you can have 18 units, so it's all detached, so we cannot pre-assemble the electricity for you, so you have to do this on site. So it all depends on how much work you want to pre-finish in our factory.
Very good. So then that all becomes legwork on my end to ask the right questions and pre-qualify, so that I know what my actual landed cost is going to be delivered here in the United States. Because we're really wanting to get in the Airbnb field. Short-term rentals are becoming even bigger. So then the big thing is, like these bubble housing units, they do very, very well where I'm located. So then it becomes, my landed cost becomes very important because you either have a higher margin or you pass the savings on to the consumer.
I'm sorry, cannot hear.
Yeah, the audio's out.
Sorry. So
There we go.
those bubbles look awesome. They can give you 360-degree views, and you can put them into like places with views, right? So it's kind of awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Brenda, you have more questions for the suppliers today?
I don't know, because the real thing's going to be technical questions about insulation quality, exterior, like what's the sheathing on the units. I assume it's corrugated steel. Just going to be a lot of these really highly technical questions that probably me and my team would want to ask. And, some of those questions I could ask on stream, some of those questions I could ask off stream. Like, I know outside the United States, you don't use R values for insulation. So I'd like to hear, like, how thick are the walls? What kind of insulation are you using? What value are the windows? So then I can figure out, are you providing these with heating and cooling with them, or is that up to the end use buyer to use or to come up with?
Okay, if for the installation of the container houses, and we might mainly use the insulation material of the EPS or work wool or the PU. Of course, PU has the best insulation function, but it will be comes with the higher cost. So for the so work wool is the best material we can choose. So it can take from the minus 40 degrees to 40 degrees Celsius. So it has a very good insulation.
Okay. How thick is your EPS on something on these sample houses?
It's from 50 mm.
Okay, 15 millimeters. Okay.
Yeah, say 30 inches.
Okay.
Yep. And we can also make it into 75 or 100 mm as it's all customized. Yeah.
Okay, so 100. Oh, wow. Okay. 50 millimeters, 2 inches. So 100 millimeters can be 4-inch thick EPS. So that's going to be very good. Very good.
Yeah, beside the wall terminal, we can also have an insulation on the bottom or on the top.
Okay. What are you insulating the walls with on these?
Insulating the walls, it will be a sandwich panel.
Okay.
Yeah, double side gamma steel, and inside will be insulation material.
Okay. Do you know what the snow and the wind loading ratings are going to be?
Will be for the wind load will be about grade 12, and also for the snow loading will be about 200 par. You can take about 6 inches of the snow. The thickness 6 inches. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, yeah, 6 inches of snow. That would be pretty good here where I'm located.
6 inches.
And then of course my next question is, where can I take a look at one of these things? I'd love to figure out if there's any installed anywhere in the Midwest of the United States to actually go take a look at one.
Yeah.
Cindy, do you want to show something like through the live stream, or do you have any?
Yeah, I would like to show you just slightly around our factory. Maybe I can turn off my camera. This camera and change to this one.
Very good. Oh wow.
Oh wow.
You're in a bubble.
Yeah. Just now I
this
live
is amazing.
stream there. Okay, my colleagues help me, and then just now I did a live stream inside the dorm house, and inside you can see we equipped with the curtains. And also with the curtains and also the sky window. And now we can go outside. Inside,
are you watching this?
We equipped with the space is big enough.
This is awesome. How big is this bubble that you're in?
For example, like this one, the diameter will be 4.5 meters.
Okay, that's pretty big then. How tall is it?
Yeah, and it's suitable to place one queen bed inside, and also here we design as a restaurant because During the nighttime, we will have a hot pot there here with our colleagues and with our clients. You guys are welcome to our factory so that we can.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so this is also our outdoors showroom, and this is one is a smaller size of the bubble house. Smaller size is about 3.5 meters.
My team is messaging me and they're saying, well, if you have a hot pot in there, can they come eat dinner if they get on a plane and fly to China?
Exactly that. You can not only take a hot pot inside, you can also bring a tub, a hot tub inside. So
Oh, a hot tub.
A tub spa in a country side the wheel, also in the mountain over close to the sea.
That's awesome.
And it can be also a very good scenarios for marriage or proposing to your fiance. It's very
cool.
romantic.
What's the biggest size that you've made of one of these?
The biggest size will be, the length will be 8 meters.
8 meters. Okay. Wow. That's pretty big. How tall is the tallest one? On that one that's 8 meters in diameter, how tall is it?
For example, if its length is 8 meters, we will make it an oval one. It will not be a round one.
Dang.
Yeah. So it will be like an egg. So the width will be
my
about
goodness.
will be about 5 meters. We also have a oval one over there, which is 4.5 meters width and 6 meters length.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that will be more suitable for a long desk for about 12 people gathering together.
And how long would it take to get a cost proposal done from your company on one of these that you have here? That's, I think you said 4.5 meters.
Actually, were some stock more price, we could find on our Alibaba.com. They can just click there and then order. That's it. Those are mainly for stock and for stock sizes, and you can customize for if you need the curtains or not, if you need a sky roof or not, if you need the LED lights or not. So that's the optional, but the basic price on Alibaba. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, my team's messaging me and they're saying that they'll send you a message on Alibaba.
Cool.
Probably get a proposal because we've looked at these things in the past, and it's amazing to be here with you on a live stream today to actually get information on one of these and for you to answer all my questions live. It's been hugely beneficial to me.
Okay.
Well, that's awesome. I can see Brendan's so happy. So we should do a group trip to China. Just go there and eat hot pot and get in a hot tub or something. It looks so much fun. And I really appreciate Cindy, the showroom, and all the answers. We also have questions from the audience and asking how much do you sell those for in other countries. So would you advise the customer just to send you inquiry and then you will respond to them?
Yeah, so I would just give a quick answer of this houses from 2000, not include the shipment, but if they are interested, they can send inquiries on Alibaba to let us know their quantity and also their address so that we can check the price, include the shipment for them.
Excellent, thank you. And I'll have my team drop the link to your store so they can directly click to your store and contact you.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Ming.
Of course. So I think, it's exciting, and I just always love to see the smile on the customer's face. And I appreciate, Cindy, you have excellent communication skills as well. Your language is perfect. I'm just really happy to see you. And before we like to go, we're going to play a video of your company just to end this session, and we will follow up with you offline. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Very nice.
Let's. Wow, that's awesome. Wow. Thank you, Cindy. We'll see you soon again.
Very
soon.
nice.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And
Bye.
bye.
Wow. Brandon, you're happy.
Oh
Are
yeah,
you?
messaging my team and like, how quickly can we get these? And we're
Yeah, I just
DMing.
so lovely.
How
So
can we set up an
romantic.
Airbnb village of these things?
Yeah. Well, so that's awesome. And we also have a surprise for Fernando as well. We're gonna show you a quick video of a supplier in your industry, and hopefully you will have that smile on your face after.
We have established a stable strategic or cooperative relationship with Tebow.
As they're back.
So this is a very short video with the company with the tires. So Fernando, do you do tires for the racing cars as well? I just saw that F1 Formula.
No, actually, we only focus
Okay,
on passenger tires and commercial tires, so tractors, trailers, farm, some OTR as well. But yeah, racing is something that we haven't gotten. We sell here and there, but not 100%. Yeah, we're not in that.
Okay. No worries. Maybe this after that we'll send you the link to the suppliers, and then you check out what they do, and maybe add that to your product line. It's pretty cool.
No, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. So I heard that supplier has a very large catalog as well, and they can customize for what you're looking for. So yeah, so I think we have got to quite past an hour, so we're getting to the end of this event very soon. So before we come to the Q&A section, so we talk about two challenges the small medium business owners face, and we have two more challenges they always bring up. So one is the cash flow. And then the second one is the safety of the transaction. So how to handle the cash flow and safety of the transaction, I want to come to Kian. So how do you usually coach the customers or the business owners to handle those two challenges?
Yeah, it's a great question, and something every entrepreneur really needs to deal with at some point. So you have to build a bit of trust with your manufacturers, right? And in order to do that, you have to, place a couple of orders, like first orders, like a trial order, second order, your quantities start to increase a little bit. But after like your third or fourth order, you're in a position to ask for credit from your manufacturer, right? So your first order payment terms might be, 30% deposit to start production and 70% balance payment when the goods are ready. But then like after you've done a few orders and the supplier can see that, hey, your order volume is increasing, and you're placing orders more regularly, then they're in a position to sort of offer you credit. And what does that look like? Well, they might say, okay, now instead of 30% deposit, pay 10% deposit and pay us that remaining 90% 30 days after your goods land. And then the longer you do business with that supplier, the more and more your payment terms improve, right? And that ultimately helps you with cash flow till you get to a stage where some of my suppliers give me 3 months credit without even placing a deposit. So they'll manufacture the goods, they'll ship it, and then I'll pay them 90 days later. And why that's really, really important in terms of for your cash flow is imagine getting paid by your customers for the product before you pay your supplier. And then what you can, and that's the real meaning of a partnership, like, building relationships with your manufacturer. And like, just the Zoom call that we had right there, right? Bear in mind, it is 4 a.m. for the supplier. So that should show you how hard the suppliers are willing to work for you, right? How they much value your business. They value your business relationship. They want to really grow and build with you, right? So as you start to grow and really scale your business, you're in a position to ask for better credit terms, better cash flow, things like that. And that can really help and grow and scale your business. And not everyone is selling products online. A lot of people will purchase products from Alibaba.com and then sell into retailers and things like that. So I sell to a lot of retailers in the UK, Europe, and the US. And the retailers ask us for credit, right? They'll tell us, hey, develop, design, manufacture these products, put our logo on it, ship it to us, and then give us 90 days credit, right? And their orders are really large. And I turn to my suppliers and say, hey, if you want this order from this retailer, I have to give them 90 days credit. And bear in mind, if you pay a deposit to your supplier, then they start ordering the raw materials, then they do the production process, then 2 months later, the goods are ready, then you pay them the final balance, and then your customer pays you 3 months after that. From when you pay the initial deposit to your factory to when you get paid by your customer can be 5 or 6 months. And you can't have that amount of cash flow tied up for that long, right? Not to mention if there's any issue with the product, then like they're just returning those goods to you without paying for it. That's why your customers ask for credit terms, right? So if I'm going to get into a situation like that, I always say to my supplier, hey, if you want this order from this retailer, I have to give them credit terms. That means I need credit terms from you as well. So if I have to give them 90 days credit, I need 90 days credit. So I want to spread the risk a little bit as well. And I keep going back to this word of like partnership. It's not just like, hey, I'm your customer and you're my supplier. It's no, we're in this together. It's win-win. It's like, if I get this order from this big customer, well, so do you, because you're going to be the one producing it, right? So we have to work together here. So that's, and by the way, just like, and for anyone like starting out, right, a quick tip I can give you: if you're going to ask your manufacturer for credit terms in 3 months' time or 6 months' time or a year's time, something you can do right now to improve getting those credit terms is always pay your suppliers on time. Like if they issue you with an invoice for your purchase order deposit and for your production when it's ready, just don't take more than 24 hours to pay them, right? And if you always pay on time, let's say 1 year from now, we're going to ask for credit terms of $30,000. They're going to be like, you know what? We've sent Kian like 12 invoices over the last 9 months, and we've never, ever had an issue from him. We've never had to chase him for payment. He's always paid us straight away. He's always been very fair with us. So yeah, why not? But imagine if you get your invoice from your supplier and you pay them like 10 days later, 2 weeks later, and they're chasing you. Kian, where's the payment? Where's the payment? You said it was going to be last week. Now you're 7 days delayed. Where's the payment? Where's the payment? And then 9 months later, hey, by the way, we need credit terms. They're like, no way, because you've never paid us on time. Why would I give you credit? So it's very, very important to pay your suppliers on time, build up that leverage right now so you can benefit from it in the long term.
Excellent. So for the audience, for the March Expo starting tomorrow, very soon, we offer the flexible payment terms through March Expo. So definitely check out the March Expo website, the main page, and for the details. Additionally, we also offer trade assurance, which is designed to protect buyers. So trade assurance, when you do the product research, you can select trade assurance. So make sure the supplier offer that. So those information, definitely check out the March Expo page. So now let's get to the Q&A section. So I'm gonna go through the questions and then ask the speakers to help with the question. Explain to the people the trade assurance, how to find it. I've not been able to find it, or I just kind of bring it up. So Kian, do you know how to find the trade assurance?
Yeah, absolutely. It's literally just a tick box, right? So when you, as I said at the start, like when you're searching for something, you can search by products or by manufacturers. I search by manufacturers. And then when you click that, let's just say you're searching for wing mirrors. Let's use an auto part, right? It will automatically select searching by verified suppliers, and the first box on the top left, it will say trade assurance, and it's unchecked. You just need to tick that box, and that's basically only going to show you the suppliers which accept and align with trade assurance. And that's very important. Just for anyone who doesn't know, trade assurance is essentially your payments are protected so long as all the information about your product is shared within the Alibaba.com chat. So for example, if we say we want wing mirrors with red colored plastic for some reason on the site, and then we receive them with blue colored plastic, well, it's like, well, you sent us the wrong color. So then Alibaba.com will then chase up the supplier to give you a refund because you selected trade assurance. So it's a very, very important feature to have, and all you have to do is check the box.
Excellent, thank you. So next question is for Brendan. How can I buy building products? How can I buy building products? products, maybe like products used in building and construction?
They just need to get on Alibaba.com and learn to use it.
Here you
The
go.
amount of money that you can make in your own personal life in your company on Alibaba.com is
Your
immense.
kids can teach a class on that,
Yes.
entrepreneurship.
If my daughter and my nieces can make an extra couple $100 a month by browsing Alibaba.com, anybody can learn it. That isn't to say that you're not going to have to spend some time and figure out how everything works, but you can do it. Just spend some time.
Excellent. So the next question is looking for the products. It's not a problem for this audience, but the payment barriers internationally is the main headache. So they're in, I think, Africa. So payment platform is not acceptable. Most of the guys don't use MasterCards. So I think we can share the link to our payment page or trade assurance page where you can find all the payment information, because people sometimes have misconception. You only can pay credit card, but sometimes you can pay TT, offline wire money, you can pay credit card, you can pay PayPal. There are different ways for payment. So find the ways that will work for you and contact our customer service if you cannot find the ways for payment. The international payment transactions definitely a headache for the buyers in certain countries. So next question is for Kian. Can you talk about sourcing private label or give a used insight with Shopify drop shipping, B2C drop shipping sourcing for private label? That's kind of another 2-hour session to answer this question.
So what I'll say very quickly is that you mentioned like drop shipping there, right? And drop shipping tends to be more like one by one individual pieces. So you can have like drop shipping, which is like the individual units, and then there's like brand building, which is mass production. Personally, I've never really been a fan much of drop shipping, just because it's very, very hard to control the production process. Meaning you get an order from your website, right? And then you contact your manufacturer, you dispatch that unit out. 10 days later, 10 hours later, 5 days later, you get another order, you do it again, right? So you don't necessarily have that consistency of supply, whereas you can still get very low trial order MOQs from suppliers. Let's just say it might be 200 units or 300 units. But I think that if you're serious about building a brand, because there's two ways you can do this, right? You can sell stuff online and make money, or you can build a brand for the long term. And if you're very passionate about this particular product or category, and you have aspirations to grow and scale this business, and you have plans to sell your business and exit it, which is a very normal and common thing in the industry these days as well, you have to build a brand experience. You have to build brand equity, because while you're making profit from the sales on your products, you're also making profit when you sell your business in the long term, because you've developed an audience and you have a brand, right? So, and drop shipping doesn't necessarily allow you to do that. Whereas if I'm ordering something for myself in mass production, I'm making an investment in that. I'm making sure that it's the Pantone color that I want, in the packaging that I want, to the standard that I want. And I'm also going to ship that to my address, to my warehouse, to my fulfillment center, whatever. And it means that I can guarantee next day delivery as well. So there's drop shipping. There's a lot of things that doesn't allow you to do. So I wouldn't be put off, placing a larger order, maybe 100 units, 200 units, speaking to the manufacturers, which have a smaller team, the ones which have 10 workers, 50 workers, 15 workers, they might be willing to do a smaller order for you, and then really try and build your brand equity that way. That would just be my suggestion.
Yeah, excellent. So another question for you, Kian. So how do you safeguard yourself from purchasing products? So how do you protect your brand? And how you as company can file patent infringement claims? So I think we have IP protection platforms for customers to protect themselves. So how do you usually do that to protect your own brands?
Sure. So it's a great question, right? So a lot of people have this situation where they're like, you know what, I've innovated this brand new product that's never been done before. It's never been seen before. I'm scared to share this with manufacturers, because what if they copy my idea, right? Normal thought for anyone to have. And what I like to do is, if I've developed something brand new, which I think is of serious innovation. And the first thing I would say is, without knowing what the product or the innovation is, you have to be very, very self-aware to be like, how innovative is this product? Did I just change the material? Did I just change the color? Did I make it a little bit more lightweight? If you've just made an iteration, then not much point protecting it, because it's always going to be like another idea to go on top of it. But let's just assume that you've developed the next auto part, which has never been done before, never been seen before. Let's just take an example of, let's just say, a car seat, right? And this car seat can go up and down, side to side, or it can give you a massage, whatever it may be, right? We've just introduced something completely new that's never been done before. What I would do is I would search for the manufacturers. So my like Alibaba.com process tends to be, I want to find like my top 10 suppliers. I want to look at them, study, analyze their information. I want to narrow it down to 5. I'm going to talk to those 5. And then from the 5, I'm going to narrow it down to 3. And I'm going to order samples from those 3. And then I'm going to order 1 after assessing this, the samples. I'm going to order from 1 manufacturer. So going back to your innovative product, if we're talking about that car seat, I would not share my brand new car seat innovation with all 10 of those suppliers, because I'm only going to order from 1. So another 9 suppliers that I'm not going to order from have now seen my new idea. Whether they do it themselves or whether they share it with some of their customers, I'm not sure. So I would take the uninnovated product, let's just say a normal car seat, and I'm going to go through that process, share my ideas and all this sort of stuff. Let's just say it's a normal car seat, but without the movement and without the massage. And then I'm going to get the prices from everyone. I'm going to get the communication from everyone. I'm going to see like what certifications they have, what markets they supply, how many years they've been in business, what area they're located in. And then I decide, right, here's my samples from the 3. This one's got the best quality sample. This one's got the best quality price. This is the one I'm going to place the order with. Then that's supplier that I've chosen and selected is the one I'm going to share my brand new innovation with. Mm-hmm. So that only the one that I was going to order from got to see my new idea, but I still got to analyze all the different suppliers. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people think, what if my manufacturer copies me? But quite often, it's not your manufacturer which copies you. It's someone else which has bought your product from a store and they send it to another manufacturer, and then they might make a sort of innovation on top of your design. So the ultimate form of protection is not tying your supplier up in any sort of contract or NNN or anything like that. It's getting a design patent or a utility patent on your product, depending on the innovation, right? A design patent is going to cost you about $4,000, can take about 1.5 years to file. A utility patent can cost you up to like $15,000, and it can take a couple of years for it to file. But as long as you file that in motion, you can date it back if anyone tries to copy you. So, and I think the last part of your question was, what if someone infringes on my patent? You can just contact them directly, and it's happened to me before, where I've designed and developed a product and I've had other people copy the product just straight up, not even making any changes to it. They just copy the exact same product. And I would just approach them rather than going a legal letter. I don't necessarily want to get lawyers involved or anything like that. I would just approach them directly, ask to speak to the product department or the CEO. And I would just say that, hey, this is actually my design. I brought this out first. This is the date where this was launched. Here you can see my sales page, etc. I don't want to take any legal action, but what I will ask is if you can remove this from sale immediately. And also if I feel that they're in a space which is not competing with me, I will allow them to continue selling it, but I'll ask for a royalty of the sales so that I don't take any legal action. So you might get paid off of it, or you might remove them from sale. And if they don't comply with that, then you can take legal action.
Yeah, sounds good. And we'll also drop a link to our IP protection platforms. And if you see any issues on our website, definitely you can file a complaint on the website. And we take it very seriously as well. So I think as the last question, how can I research what products sell well? Is there any programs you can use? So Fernando, you want to try this question? How do you decide what are bestsellers?
And the question was, how do you decide which are the
How can I research what products sell well? How do I do research, and what programs are good?
Well, again, I guess I'm going to speak based on the industry I'm in. So there's, like I said before, typically, if you go into retail stores or tire shops and just typically ask, what are the most popular products, that's going to be a fairly easy way. So again, just assuming they're not in the tire industry, I would say going to competitors, seeing featured products, visiting, brick and mortar stores. There's other ways, like ChatGPT, honestly, is quite certain. And sometimes, obviously, don't take the word for it. Maybe do some research and confirm that what it's telling you is correct. But and then there's other companies out there also that provide data. So again, in the tire industry, I know a couple of them, like Torqueda. There's a lot of analytics, data analytic companies that provide insights that could give you the, kind of like a good estimate of what products could be good to sell.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember seeing you showing your warehouse space, Fernando. So next question, maybe give a try. So what do you suggest for a private label warehouse and shipping where I don't have to house the products at my location and they're ready for customer shipping less than 10 days, more kind of job shipping location, right? And how do you advise on that?
Yeah. So, and again, I think private label in terms of, something that comes to mind is 3PL. So I've seen a lot of third-party logistics become very, very popular, where people don't want to actually take care of the whole wholesaling stuff, and they just want someone to take care of that stuff. If that's what they're referring to, as placing a big private label order and having someone just fulfill your orders, warehousing them, and then they just charge you for that. I think there's different ways you could do that, but third-party logistics. I don't know if Alibaba.com offers a 3PL solution actually.
I'm aware of today, but I can definitely find out.
Okay, yeah, because I know other companies do offer that, but I think that would be a solution.
Okay, definitely 3PLs. There are, I think, a lot of options out there. So great section, Q&A section. And so I think we're at the bottom of this session. And I always invite our speakers to give one final advice, very short, few sentences, final advice for our audience. Most of them are small, medium business owners. Anything, from what you think will be competitive for them to stay competitive in 2023 or something you have to share and have the audience take home. So where do we start? You want to start, Kian? Final advice.
Sure. So basically, I feel like I've really learned a lot about how to develop the best products by understanding how products are made. And I've understood how products are made by spending so much time in factories, right? So for those of you who aren't able to visit a factory, if you can, definitely make a plan. It's open now, we can travel. So I would say make a plan to visit your manufacturer. And if you're not in a position to visit your manufacturer, understand how your products are made by asking your supplier for photos and videos of the production line, right? Because I gave the example at the start of the call about a backpack and how I just always thought of it as one unit on a shelf in a store. And then when I saw it in a factory, I saw it in 30 different pieces and how I saw it got assembled together. And I was able to make calculations in my head, how to improve the quality, how to reduce the price and things like that. So whatever your product may be, and I think even through the Alibaba.com app, you can have video calls, photos, all that sort of stuff. Ask them to see photos of every stage of the production line and videos of every stage of the production line, so you can really open and expand your mind in terms of how your goods are made, so you can make your future innovations as well. On top of that, if you don't have this already, ask your manufacturers for what's called a BOM, a bill of materials for all your products as well, because I'm sure that not everyone really fully understands all the materials that are involved in all of their products, right? So even in the auto part industry, I developed one of these like tents that go on top of your vehicle, and then also like sleeping bags and stuff like that, and self-inflate mats so you can sleep on the roof of your car and things like that. But you might just order a sleeping bag online, but not knowing like what the outer material is, what the inside lining is, what's the quality of the zips, what's the brand of the zips, what's the number of the zips, things like that. So just ask your manufacturer for a bill of materials. And once you know exactly all the materials which are involved in your product, it's very, very easy to then price compare with other manufacturers against the same materials, so you can figure out exactly the true cost of your product.
Excellent. So if the audience wants to know more about your content, your education, so how do they follow you on social media?
Sure. So best place if you want sourcing supply chain education is on YouTube, Sourcing with Kian on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, which is Kian_JG. And I also have a Facebook group also called Sourcing with Kian, where people just post their questions and then I answer them and things like that as well. So just give me a shout. If you're on Instagram, drop me a DM, say hello, say what's up, and let's communicate there.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, next, Fernando, you want to share your final advice?
Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead and just give a quote, one of my favorite quotes, just a minute of thought is greater than an hour of talk. So if you're really looking into going through a new venture, just don't go out there and just do it. I mean, that's important, but planning, at least for me, has been extremely important. And it doesn't have to be, planning like forever. You have to have a plan, you have to have a goal and objective. And so I would say definitely, get some data, trust the data, and follow through with that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's very wise, and I can tell you are a numbers person.
Yeah.
So if our audience want to follow you, where's your social media?
Yeah, best way, honestly, it's probably going to be through YouTube as well. Just search Fernando Herrera. There's several other Fernando Herrera, so I might switch eventually my YouTube channel name, but Fernando Herrera is probably going to pop up. LinkedIn, Instagram as well. Most likely LinkedIn is going to be the place where I'm going to respond fastest. But yeah, those are the places to reach out to me.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Brendan. So what's your final advice?
My big thing is just resolve yourself to get a little bit better. I don't think anybody's going to start off being an Alibaba.com expert and a product purchasing expert. But if you resolve yourself to get better at it, knowing that it's a very valuable tool, knowing that it's something that you can personally make a lot of money off of, just resolve yourself to understand a little bit better. These other folks that have been on the stream with me are absolute top tier talent. Make sure that you're getting as much knowledge as you can from them. It's kind of a core function that I've installed in all my businesses. I get better at my businesses a little bit every day. If you want to follow me, everything is at Investment Joy, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. If you want training and coaching directly from me, that's at investmentjoy.com. I coach people how to start real estate investments, laundromats, car washes, a little bit of everything. And it's been a joy to be on this stream with everybody else.
Thank you so much. And thank you, our audience, for attending this event today. So we have the same, a different session tomorrow at the same time. And don't forget, March Expo starts tomorrow. And definitely check in to the main page and see what we are offering. And thank you, all the speakers. We are so happy you're here and sharing all your insights and knowledge. And hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much for having us.
Amen.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See you.